How's everybody doing? It's a Fate of Fire, and we're back on my strength build. I still have not gotten her to 120. I should really get on that. But today we're going to be talking about how you need to be diverse in PvP this time around. Now, I still hold to the fact that I think strength is the most competitive of all the builds in this game mode, but that still does not mean that you need to be very diverse in the weapons that you use to be a good player and to get a lot of wins. Now, in a lot of these scenarios, you'll see me using my hyper armor to either beat small weapons out very easily, and hyper armor has actually made me get quite terrible in my gameplay because I kind of just get lazy. But you'll see me start beating out small weapons with my hyper armor, but you'll also see that there are counters to hyper armor and bigger weapons with hyper armor. You see, I just kind of hyper armor through that. Very lazy gameplay by me, but hyper armor saves the day. But even though that these bigger weapons have a lot of hyper armor and cannot be stunned by smaller weapons, that does not mean that they cannot be beat. So, things like spears can definitely outrange hyper armor and have a good effect of keeping them away where hyper armor won't even matter. So, I feel Dark Souls 3, he barely had any. Oh, he puts on. He had 7 health. But Dark Souls 3 is going to be the game where there will be no, I repeat, there will be no one style that wins you most of your fights. You will need to be diverse in the weapons you use and the spell you use, and that I find to be great. Look at this guy, the Dark Sword, the horrid, the dreaded, needs to be nerfed Dark Sword. I'm not particularly scared of the Dark Sword because I have a club and I can just hyper armor through all his R1 spam, even though I just kind of walked up to that one, thought he wasn't playing. But I'm not particularly scared because all I have to do is swing while he's swinging, and then I get 2 free hits while he only gets 1, and I win the trade. So I'm just waiting for him to swing, and there it goes. Even though I only hit him once, I still win the trade. He cannot beat out a bigger weapon that puts out more damage than his Dark Sword. So I'm just sitting here waiting for him to swing again so I can hyper armor through it. And he's going to do it eventually, because if you time your attacks right, you cannot, and there it goes. Now he's basically lost the fight. If you time your hyper armor right, you cannot be beat by R1 spam. And well, you know, I know what everybody's saying. Fire, what if I don't have a strength build and I can't hyper armor through a Dark Sword? Pick up a spear. Pick up a spear and see how a Dark Sword does against a spear. Pick up a halberd. A halberd will do great against a Dark Sword. Use the skill Perseverance. Easy. Easy. There will be no one type of style anymore. This is, you know, Dark Souls 1, run around with a katana, flip all day, boom, wins. It's not true anymore. You need to be diverse in the things you do, but being that you need to be diverse, I still feel that with the weapon variety of strength and the assets of the strength of weapons, I do feel that strength is the most competitive class of them all. Now here goes another meta thing, the bleed. The bleed Brave Warden Twin Blades, or whatever they're called. Excuse me if I butchered the name. But this particular person is using the everybody hates this as well, the bleed with the Grave Warden. The bleed is ridiculous, and I think he's using right. This person was using upgraded weapons, and I beat him in this fight because right here I'm kind of trying to tactically parry him and do all this other stuff, when in reality all I have to do is time my hyper armor like that, hit him twice for 1,000 damage, and then I just win the fight. So all the bleed and stuff really doesn't matter anymore. So, you know, I'm not using a longsword, so I really don't have to worry about that. And he asked me for a rematch because he was using the upgraded version, which I understand. And so I gave him the rematch, and this time I planned my attacks to get him while he's attacking me, but in my hyper armor frame. So I hit him twice, and now I basically lose the fight because he can't get through my hyper armor. So, like I said, big weapons like these are not the answer, and I caught him hyper armor again. So, you know, he can't win that fight. And he later switched to a strength build because he sees that. So this is him again on his strength build, and he kind of gives me a taste of my own medicine. We're duking it out. We've had, I think we did about 2-3 fights, and I hit him twice, and now, okay, all I have to do is trade and hit him out of his hyper armor, but I can't because that weapon art has much more hyper armor than I thought it did, and I die.
Hey!
But like I said, big weapons with hyper armor are not necessarily unbeatable. This guy plays it great. Even though I will out-trade him, and he knows that, he can just space me out. Look how perfectly he does it. So I go for a swing, he rolls out, and now look, now I'm out of range. So what is he gonna do? Poke me out. Like he should. And since he has a longer weapon, it's much harder for me to get in, even with hyper armor. So I can't effectively use my weapon because he's ranging me out. Bam, he gets the kill. But like I said, I do feel that strength is the most competitive because I can just switch to a Grand Lance. So I saw somebody had this weapon, I switched to Grand Lance, which has hyper armor, and it could compete with the range of the Dragon Sword Slayer Spear. So I'm using my Grand Lance now, and as you can see, he usually, you know, he just has to deal with dark swords and long swords all day, so he doesn't have to, that was very dangerous there, but he doesn't have to deal with things like this. So, you know, he's thinking, you know, usually I just go up in R1 against a long sword and I win. But what happens when you match with the weapons that have hyper armor and range? You need to play it a little bit differently, and that's why people have to go against weapons and use different weapons to be a good player in this game. And I'm absolutely loving Dark Souls 3 PvP. I find it to be the best of the series. Guys, please do not do that weapon art when somebody has a parrying tool out. Please, please, please. It will get you parried and you will die. Just don't use that weapon art when somebody has a parrying tool out. It will get you killed. But if somebody's two-handed, great, go for it. It has great tracking, and the wide arch swing that it does to finish it off is great. I love that weapon. It's actually one of my favorite strength weapons, even though I showed it in this video. But so I'm bringing out my parry tool, basically just waiting for him to do the weapon art so I can parry it because it's so telegraphed. So he's gonna do it sooner or later. I'm actually kind of just waiting for it, so I'm taking a bunch of hits. There it goes. So he gets parried. So don't do that weapon art when somebody has a parrying tool out. But Dark Souls PvP is going to be the most diverse, and people are going to be forced to play different types of play styles and use different weapons. So, you know, I find this to be great. I'm so tired of the one-sided PvP in the Souls series. And I think this guy brings out a parrying tool. I want you guys to see this, because he brings out a parrying tool. And I'm going to roll around because I think he's going to try to parry my rolling attack, and I'm going to try to backstab him. But he doesn't do it. I don't know if that was a bait. If it was, that was very well played. But like I was saying, it's going to force people to play different type of play styles because everything essentially has a counter. And, you know, there is no one thing that beats everything. You can't say, oh, this right here beats everything, because there's one weapon, or there's one weapon art, or, you know, there's one spell that can counter what you're doing. So that is awesome. I find this to be absolutely amazing. Now look, I just hyper armored through all his hits, but it looks like he's wising up. So he's using the halberd, and he's gonna space me out. He's just gonna space me out with his attacks. Look at that. So hyper armor will not save you in every single engagement that you encounter in PvP. So he's just gonna space me out. Look at him. Doing a great job of spacing me out. Baiting my attacks. And he just got a hyper armor hit. So if he wouldn't have took all that damage before, he would have won the fight. But other than that, I'm loving Dark Souls PvP. I think it is the best of the series. I think it's the most balanced, except some of the weapon arts. Combos should be, not that you shouldn't combo, but it should definitely have a little bit of a damage nerf. But let me know what you guys think of Dark Souls PvP, and how are you guys dealing with the weapons that you're using and the class that you're using, because I definitely think strength is the most competitive. But till next time, guys.